In today's video, I'm gonna show you how you can create that beautiful UI animation. I'm gonna take you through the entire process, and I'm pretty sure that after you watch the video, your skill is gonna get better. So with that being said, after a little break, we're gonna get straight into Adobe After Effects. Alright, so we're back in the software. I'm gonna show you the comp settings, 1920 by 1080. Today we're working with horizontal. So I'm gonna hit OK. And the first thing I'm gonna do is head over here. I'm gonna press on the ellipse tool and I'm gonna pick it. Then I'm gonna create a circle in the middle while holding shift. Then I'm gonna recenter and let's just rename it to circle. By the way, make sure the color is white. And the next thing we're gonna do is click on this and I'm gonna hit S in order to reveal scale. Then I'm gonna alt click the stopwatch over here and I'm gonna paste the expression that you can find in the comment. So that's how it's looking. And now we're gonna create a keyframe for scale. I'm gonna move it forward and I'm gonna change the value to 0. So that's how it's looking and the timing seems to be perfect. The next thing we're gonna need is the navigator. So for this, I'm gonna head over here, press, and I'm gonna go to the star tool. I'm gonna make sure to create a triangle while holding shift and I'm gonna recenter. Then I'm gonna change the color to black and I'm gonna hit OK. And here's the thing, if you got too many points like that, you just adjust them to 3 over here. So now we're gonna head over to the rotation over here and I'm gonna set it to 180. Then I'm gonna recenter the anchor point and I'm gonna recenter the whole triangle. Actually, I'm gonna do a manual adjustment like that. And then what you want to do is simply go to the contents of Navigator. So I'm gonna open it up, go to contents, then Polystar 1, and I'm gonna right click Polystar Path 1. Now let's hit convert to Bezier path. Then I'm gonna select path 1 and I'm gonna delete these 2 points because we don't really need them. The point we're interested in is this bottom one. So for this, I'm gonna just drag it a bit higher. And then what we need is just select these 2 bottom points. I'm gonna hit Ctrl T and I'm just gonna grab this point and actually support myself with holding Ctrl Shift in order to adjust both sides. And I'm just gonna squeeze it in just a bit. Something like that should be good. So before and after. Then I'm gonna click on the Polystar one. I'm gonna go to add and we're just gonna round corners. Okay, seems nice. We can open it up and adjust the value to 15. Then you can make sure to recenter it again, and that's what we have so far. Then we need to create a movement for our navigator. So for this, I'm gonna select the layer, I'm gonna hit P, click the stopwatch, I'm gonna move backwards, and I'm gonna drag it lower. It's a bit too fast. Alright, so this seems nice, but we need to borrow the expression from the circle. So for this, I'm gonna hit S, I'm gonna open it up, I'm gonna copy, and then we're gonna alt click the stopwatch over here and we're gonna paste it. Alright, the next thing we need to do is right click here, I'm gonna go to new, no object, and we're gonna rename it to controller. I'm gonna select both bottom layers and I'm gonna parent them to the controller. So that way we're gonna be able to move the whole thing and we're gonna create a keyframe for position. So let's hit P, click the stopwatch, move forward, and we're gonna drag it to the left, just like so, so it goes a little bit beyond the screen. It's definitely way too early. I'm gonna easy ease the keyframes and I'm gonna head over to the graph editor. Let's create a peak in the middle, probably a bit too fast. Alright, I'm gonna adjust the whole thing, move it backwards. Probably extend it a bit. And then I'm gonna hold shift, click R, and I'm gonna keyframe rotation. Now let's move somewhere here and we're just gonna change the value to minus 270. Alright, okay, I'm gonna also apply the same graph as before, which is the mid graph. That's how it's looking. Alright, so that's what we have so far. And now our goal is to move it to the right. So for this, we're gonna create another controller. So I'm gonna right click, go to new, no object, and let's rename it to controller 2. For clarity, we can rename this one to 1, and I'm gonna parent controller 1 to controller 2. So now we want to overlap the keyframes in order to remain the momentum. So for this, I'm gonna go to the controller 2, hit P, create a keyframe right before this one ends, and I'm gonna move forward and I'm gonna drag this to the right. Just like so, probably a bit overboard. Let's select both, hit F9, and then we're gonna apply again mid graph. So that's how it's looking. Alright, and one thing I would do here probably is just extending these keyframes to adjust the timing. It seems a bit too fast. And then I'm gonna grab these 2, move them forward. Alright, that's pretty nice. I'm just gonna head over here go to the graph editor, and what I would like to do is just slow it down in the beginning and make it extremely sharp in the middle. Let's just see it with the motion blur. Alright, this seems really nice. And the next thing we're gonna need is another triangle. So for this I'm gonna head over to the Star tool and I'm gonna create a triangle while holding Shift. Then I'm gonna recenter, and what we're gonna do is go to rotation and I'm gonna change it to -90. Okay, something like that should do. Then I'm gonna grab that rectangle over here, so it's beyond our composition window, and I'm gonna do the same procedure as before, which is opening it up and then right clicking Polystar Path 1 and converting to Bezier path. We can delete these two again, and also this one, and we're just gonna open it up, create a keyframe, move it backwards, and what we're gonna do is have that tipping point of the triangle follow our navigator. So for this I'm gonna move here and I'm gonna grab that point and attach it to our navigator. And now it's important to adjust the timing of the triangle so it fits the navigator. But first let me just rename it. We can call it wave. I'm gonna drop it below everything, and then also to the circle I'm gonna add drop shadow effect so we can separate it a bit. So what I'm gonna do is change distance to 0 and softness to 100. So let's open up controller 2, then adjust that keyframe over here, and then align this one with the last one over here. I'm gonna apply the same graph to the wave, so let's just read values over here. Then I'm gonna select these two and I'm gonna apply them. So basically it's gonna be the mid graph. Okay, looks good. We could probably grab that path over here and have it a bit further. So it's already looking pretty cool because the navigator is kind of dragging that wave. And as you can notice, just because of the drop shadow, we got a little separation over here. Okay, and now what we need to do is add the effect called turbulent displace. So for this, I'm just gonna select the wave and let's add the effect. Alright, so with this, we're gonna get that wavy look. So what I want to do here is change the displacement to twist smoother. And let's just see if we need some adjustments for the values. Looks pretty cool. Maybe let's just decrease the amount a bit and maybe bump up the size. It looks really nice already, but what I would like to do is have that point literally in the middle over here. So for this, we're just gonna go to evolution options and I'm gonna play around with random seed. Okay, let's find the sweet spot. This is good. This might be better though. Let's see now. That's really nice. I'm just gonna adjust the values again a bit. Okay. Then what I'm gonna do is select all the layers and we're gonna pre-compose them. Let's call it Navigator 1. And we're gonna create a new camera. So I'm gonna right click here, go to new, camera, and we're gonna pick a preset of 35mm. Let's hit OK. I'm gonna move the camera below the navigator. I'm gonna create a new null object and I'm gonna parent the camera to the null. Let's rename to cam control. And then I'm gonna select both layers and I'm gonna apply cyan color. Then let's make sure to turn on 3D on everything. And what we're gonna do is start off with zoom out effect. So for this, I'm gonna select cam control 1, hit P, create a keyframe for position, move to the beginning, and with Z position, we're gonna get closer. If I move it here, it's gonna be easier to see. And then I'm gonna adjust the keyframe. Let's select both, easy ease. I'm gonna go to the graph editor and let's just create a peak on the left. Just like so. And also I'm gonna go back to navigator and we're just gonna make sure to turn on motion blur on the wave as well. Let's go to animation. So now what I would like to do is duplicate cam control 1. So I'm gonna select the layer, hit Ctrl D, I'm gonna hit U and we're gonna delete the last keyframe. Now let's parent 1 to 2 and I'm gonna move forward. Alright. Now what I would like to do is move X position to the right, just like that. And then I'm gonna hold Shift, click R, and we're gonna create a keyframe for Z rotation. Let's just move that keyframe to the beginning over here, so it's aligned. And then here, we're gonna change it to 90 degrees. I'm gonna select all 4 keyframes, I'm gonna hit F9, move to the graph editor, and I'm gonna go ahead and create a peak in the middle. Just like so. Alright, let's go back and let's see the whole thing. Okay, really nice. I'm gonna add the motion blur over here And now what I would like to do here is add a background, or actually foreground. So for this, I'm gonna head over here and I'm gonna go to the rectangle tool, and with nothing selected, I'm just gonna double click it. And I'm gonna head over to fill. Let's change it to linear gradient. And let me just adjust the colors. So for this, I'm gonna pick white. And then I'm gonna head over to blue. Let's pick something along those lines. Okay, I'm just gonna drag that point lower and this one higher. I probably went overboard. I'm just gonna make it a bit brighter, like so. Let's call it BG. Then we're gonna turn on the 3D layer on this. I'm gonna head over to the second view and make sure we're in the custom view 1. So now what we want to do is have that background in front of our navigator. And what we want to do is just slide it in from the upper side. But first we need to go to rotation, and I'm gonna change Z to 90 degrees. Let's move it upwards, just like that. I'm gonna create a keyframe for position, move backwards. Let's just see it from the side. And we're gonna grab X position and move it to the left. That way the layer is gonna go to the middle. We can close down the second view. And just in order to have a little bit of separation, just to know that the background is in a different Z position, something that would help is drop shadow again. So let's change distance to 0 and softness to around 100. And that separation is making a lot of difference. Now right now we need to adjust the timing. I'll probably squeeze in the keyframes, move them forward. I'm just thinking maybe if we ease the keyframes, it's gonna look a little bit smoother. It's a bit too sharp. I'm gonna also add motion blur. Okay, let's move it backwards. And now what we need is another navigator. So in order to do this, I'm gonna go to the ellipse tool and I'm gonna create a circle in the middle while holding shift. Let's recenter, and then I'm gonna pre-compose that layer. Let's call it navigator 2. Let's go into that pre-comp, and this time we're gonna pick a black color. So for this, I'm gonna head over to solid and let's change it to black. We can use the transparency grid, and here we're gonna need another triangle. So I'm gonna go to animation, let's go to navigator 1, and I'm gonna copy navigator, go to navigator 2, and we're gonna paste it here. We can delete the keyframes for position. I'm gonna alt click the stopwatch, and we're gonna pick linear gradient over here. So something I would like to have here is also a little bit of blue. Okay, not bad. Let's hit OK, and then I'm just gonna adjust these points. And now what I'm gonna do is delete the navigator tool, and we're gonna use something else instead. We're gonna pick the rounded rectangle tool. So for this, I'm just gonna hold shift and make sure to create a circle again. We can bump up the scale a bit. And here with the help of roundness, we can adjust the corners. So what I'm gonna do is head over here and we're gonna pick solid color, and we're just gonna replace the order. Let's call it circle, actually rectangle. And what we need to do is make sure to select the layer, go to size. I'm gonna hit U, and I'm gonna move the time indicator forward and make sure to uncheck constraint proportions. Now let's make it a bit bigger in X. Probably went overboard. And we're gonna again borrow that expression. So for this, I'm gonna head over to the navigator 1. Let's go to scale over here, and we're just gonna copy this. Now if we hold Alt and click the stopwatch, we can paste the expression, and that way it's just gonna be bouncy. We can make it a bit sharper. Alright, so now our goal is to convert that triangle into a circle. So for this, I'm gonna head over here and we're gonna grab the ellipse tool. Let's hold shift and we're gonna try to make them the same size. Alright. And now I'm gonna open it up, I'm gonna right click and convert to Bezier path again. Now let's open up path, we're gonna create a keyframe, and now we're gonna head over to the navigator. Let's go to contents, polystar 1, and we're gonna also create a keyframe. So this keyframe is gonna be somewhere here, and then we're gonna copy that keyframe over here, and we're gonna paste it to our path. So now, as you can notice, it's changing into a circle. We can delete that shape layer we created for the ellipse, and we're gonna need to fix it. So for this, I'm gonna grab this point over here, I'm gonna hit Ctrl T, or you can double click the mask, and we're just gonna put it in the middle. Alright, so now an important thing would be changing the first vertex. If you want more explanation about morphing shapes, I've made a video about that, which you can find in the corner. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is select the first keyframe, and we're just gonna figure out where's the biggest point, which seems to be here. So now I'm gonna select the upper point instead, right click, go to mask and shape path, and we're gonna set first vertex. And that way, this became the biggest point. So now it's looking way better. So you just have to find a sweet spot. You might need to change the first vertex over here, and then you might change the first vertex also over here. So the best way to do it is have the first vertex in both shapes in a similar location. So here it's on the upper side, and also in the circle it's also on the upper side. We could probably scale it down a bit. And then what I'm gonna do is select them both, hit F9 in order to ease ease. I'm gonna head over to the graph editor, and again we're gonna apply the mid graph. Okay, something like that. Looks really nice. And also one thing I'm gonna do is delete the round corners effect. Okay, and now when the rectangle is extending, what we're gonna do is hit P, then create a keyframe for position, and we're gonna move that circle to the left. Now let's go ahead and add the mid graph. And it's looking really nice, we just need to adjust the timing. So this keyframe is gonna go somewhere here. We're just gonna be looking for a sweet spot here. It actually might be good, but one thing I'm gonna do is parent the navigator to the rectangle, and then we're gonna hit R for our rectangle, and we're gonna create a keyframe for rotation. Now let's move forward. We're just gonna change the value to like 3 degrees maybe. Then let's go forward again, and we're gonna copy the first keyframe and paste it here. Okay, that starts to look really nice. Also what I'm gonna do is hit U, and we're gonna borrow the expression again. So I'm gonna hit Ctrl C, and then we're gonna paste it into our rotation. So let's alt click the stopwatch and paste. Okay, much better. I'm just thinking about having that circle a bit faster, so maybe let's squeeze it in. Yeah, it might be better actually. So the next thing we need is the text. So I'm just gonna type in New York, and we're gonna change the color to white. Let's recenter. I'm just gonna trim it somewhere here, and I'm gonna apply one of the text animations from Motion Boost. So for this, I'm gonna use polished up, and this is gonna look like the circle is dragging the text. You see? Maybe a bit earlier. Really nice. I just feel like the circle is a bit too low, as you can notice here on the line. So for this, I'm gonna select both, and then we're just gonna drag them up a bit. We're gonna turn on the motion blur on everything, and we're gonna go back to our animation. So now we need to turn on the 3D on Navigator 2, and we're gonna open up the second view again. So for this, I'm gonna drag our newly created animation with Z position in the front, so it's closer to the camera than the background we created. You can notice it here. So now let's get it in front of the camera, and we're gonna change the rotation to 90. We can close it down, and we're gonna need to adjust the timing for this. Okay, so let's move it forward. And also we're gonna apply the position keyframes. So for this, I'm gonna hit P, create a keyframe, move backwards, and we're just gonna slide it in from the bottom. So I'm just gonna select both, hit F9 in order to ease, go to the graph editor, and we're gonna create a peak on the left. Just like so. Already looks much better. And definitely what we want is have it in the middle. So for this, I'm gonna play around with X, and this should be fine. Okay, I just feel like it's a bit too late, so for this, what we're gonna do is offset it a bit, and then we're gonna move it backwards. And we can actually trim the layer. All right, we're gonna offset it even more. Yeah, perfect. And then also I'm gonna scale it down to 80. All right, so now let's turn on the motion blur for this as well. And what I'm thinking, maybe we should change the color for this. So I'm gonna click on our fill color. Let's go here. And maybe something along those lines would be better. So essentially just mess around with the colors for the desired look. So what I'm gonna do is add deep glow to this. This looks absolutely fire already. So let's go back and see it. And here what I'm thinking, maybe it would be better if we actually went back and went to modes and changed the track matte to rectangle. Then let's turn on the visibility, and that way the glow is gonna stay within the frame. And also something we could add to the navigator is bevel alpha. So I'm just gonna quickly do that. and we're gonna bump up the edge thickness. And this is such a game changer. Makes it much more realistic and at the same time gives extra spice. So here you have the final animation. Hopefully you've learned something today, and make sure to check out the other video. With that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I'm almost done with the project that I've been working on, and you can expect more tutorials. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. Cheers guys.